Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone, episode number 453 for the 25th of June 2017. Richard Saunders here with you from the Bay Area, San Francisco, where it's balmy weather. Wow! Had a heat wave over the last few days. Yes, it's a bit of a shock to the system to come out of a wintry, cold, rainy Sydney to a heat wave California. And thank you to those people who are worried about my health. With my recent attack of shingles and then nasty chest infection, it didn't make flying over the Pacific a lot of fun, but thank goodness for good friends like Dr. Eugenie Scott, who helped me out when I reached the other end. And, speaking of Dr. Eugenie Scott, this week, a bit later on in the show, we're going to be collecting honey. Collecting honey with Eugenie Scott. There should be a book about it. I was lucky enough to visit Jeannie in Berkeley in California, and in her backyard there are a couple of beehives and we collect honey. It's different, I'll give you that. It's a different report coming up a bit later on in the show. But before we do that, to kick off the show, I go downtown here in San Francisco and visit the Exploratorium, the Science Outreach Museum. Well, I don't know if you'd call it a museum exactly. It's a vast interactive series of exhibits. It's very famous, and I have a chat and a private tour with Paul Doherty, who you may remember some weeks ago I interviewed Paul about his book, And Then You're Dead, a scientific exploration of the world's most interesting ways to die. And he co-authored that with Cody Cassidy. I have the book right here with me, and it's now autographed. And in fact, we'll be having a competition soon, or a prize or a giveaway, where that book is the prize. More about that in the coming weeks when I think what to do. Anyway, to kick off the show, a tour of the Exploratorium and a chat to Paul about the important work they do there in educating science teachers. Also this week, as usual, it's Brew Ha Ha Science from Australia Science TV. This week, Ben Lewis talks to us about our flying carbon footprint. Our flying carbon footprint. You'll understand a bit later on. Now, there's not much more for me to say at the moment, so I'm going to run upstairs. I'm going to have a nice toasty bagel with some melted butter on top, and I'm going to sprinkle that, or drizzle that, with a jar of honey. Well, not the whole jar, with some honey from a honey jar given to me by Dr. Eugenie Scott. And you'll find out that adventure soon enough. But while I munch that delicious bagel down, I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone.
Please lower your head and take a drink on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Drink.
Ah! You squirted me! You gave me a sip. You're so nice.
Now, our listeners may be confused about this strange thing we're doing here. We're at the Exploratorium here in San Francisco, and I'm with Dr. Paul Doherty. Hello.
Hello, it's nice to be here, Richard.
It's wonderful to be here, in fact, and listeners will remember we had a chat a few weeks ago when we were discussing your fascinating book about ridiculous ways to die and all that.
That's right. The science behind the world's most interesting ways to die.
That's the one.
Titled, And Then You're Dead.
And Then You're Dead.
Yeah.
Which I have a copy with me, but we'll get to that soon. And we're just by this little display here. It's give your partner a sip or a squirt.
Right.
And it's an interesting idea, adventure in psychology, really.
That's right. It's a social science experiment. It's a classic. And it turns out you can choose to give your partner a sip of water or a squirt in the face, and they choose the same for you. If you both choose sip, you both get a sip of water. If you both choose squirt, you get nothing. But if one chooses sip and one chooses squirt, one of you gets a sip and the other one gets squirted in the face. And
Interesting.
What you just heard was a couple of women, and they chose sip and squirt. And one woman got a drink, and the other one got squirted in the face. And she reacted by saying, "You just squirted me." So who can you trust?
And we got some more volunteers ready to give this a go.
Want to try it?
Yeah, they're walking up now.
Do you want to remain friends?
So the two gentlemen are sitting down now. They've got to choose.
So you can choose, press any button, sip or squirt, and that's what they're going to get. So go ahead and pick what you're going to give the other person.
Please lower your head and take a drink on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. 3.
So you got the squirt and you got the sip. There you go.
Very nice of you. I'm sorry the nice person gets punished. Is there a lesson in life here?
There could be. That's a fun display.
Yes.
But the whole idea of the Exploratorium, and I came to this institution many years ago when it was over at the Palace of Fine Arts.
Yes.
So it's wonderful to see it close to the downtown San Francisco.
Oh, yes. In fact, 3 years ago we moved. The city, the other building needed a lot of repair, and the city offered us this building, which needed even more repair, but it's in such a great location.
Yeah.
It's in a 70-year-old pier, and we essentially reinforced the pilings under the pier. 1,800 pilings had to be reinforced, and then we restructured the building. And as you look around you, you'll see it's this giant warehouse full of exhibits, 600 exhibits, allowing people to interact with and learn a little bit about different concepts in science.
It's a dream come true for a science educator, it really is.
Yeah,
So
in fact, what I'm doing here right now is I have 20 high school science teachers in a class that come here for 3 weeks and learn how to use exhibits to excite, to make their science classes interesting, relevant, fun, and correct.
It's a wonderland of interaction, this place, I must say. Now, to wonder what is going on here. Oh, hello. There are people sitting down at little displays here, beating away.
Yes, and some of them, they have a red button and a blue button, like the red pill and the blue pill of notorious movie. And there's a counter up there on the wall telling how many times the red has been hit and how many times the blue has been hit. And they can compete or cooperate. And so in this section of the museum, we do a lot of studies of cooperation versus competition.
And the kids, there are a couple of kids really doing it at the moment. They're having a great time.
They're having fun.
They're having fun, and there's a big counter telling how many times it's been struck. And I'm really impressed about this place because for many reasons, but it just goes on and on and on into the distance.
Yeah, about 300 meters long to get to the far end.
That's fantastic. And there's not a square meter not really being used for something.
That's right.
Look at this display. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So this one, we're studying bird gatherings. So there's a word in English called a murmuration, a wonderful word. And that's when you look at the sky and you see birds come together in a big cluster that fly together, about like a flock. And we give the visitors a chance to change 3 parameters and program their birds and how they flock.
What we're looking at, folks, is a giant flat screen TV, bigger than probably the biggest one you have in your house. And it is covered with computer simulated birds all flocking together. And the kids are down here using the controls here for grouping, separation, and alignment. And as they alter the parameters, they get different flocks of birds flowing across the screen. That's just fascinating.
And if they choose, some parameters are a little calmer, like this, what they did there.
Yeah.
And some more frenetic. But they have just 3 controls, and it's called, in the world of mathematics, it's called cellular automata. You tell each bird the rules of making a flock of birds, and then you turn the computer loose to simulate what happens.
But there are thousands of birds right now on the screen interacting at lightning pace. The calculations must be extraordinary.
Yeah, but they're very simple. Computers are very good at simple calculations very fast.
Right.
So
Wow,
yeah.
that's...
And it's pretty.
That's fantastic.
Frank Oppenheimer called this a museum of science, art, and human perception. And that one, I thought, was a nice combination of art and science. Actually, art and mathematics.
It's high summer here in California, and this place is crowded.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of the school-age children are on their vacation at the moment,
Right.
and everywhere I look, there are children. Everywhere I look, of all ages, mostly younger though, which is nice.
Oh yes, and with their families. It's great to have a family together, enjoying it. Let's go over to this one here. We have a huge group, and they found something that they're really interested in.
All
Let's see
right.
what they're doing. So there seems to be a treadmill with a slinky. So maybe, and there's no instructions, so the kids are trying to figure out what to do with a treadmill and a slinky. Oh, they figured it out. So
The treadmill is going up at about a 35-degree angle or something like that.
That's right.
40-degree angle.
Yep.
And if the slinky is at the top, it starts to walk back down as the treadmill goes up.
that's right, and they can control the speed. And right now they have it at the highest speed,
right.
and that's really hard to make work. But they get the choice to slow it down if they want, which he just did.
Oh, I see. Yes, there's a control there, yeah.
And at one speed, the slinky goes downhill at exactly the same rate that the treadmill is going uphill. So it's a forever exhibit.
Now, if we can only tap that for energy and we get perpetual motion out of that.
That's right. But it's really fun. We don't give them any instructions of how to make the exhibit work. They have to go up there and cooperate or compete and work with each other. Over on the left here is something you hardly ever see in a museum as you walk through. This is the exhibits actually being built.
We can view the whole of the workshop area from here.
That's right.
And there are lots of
milling machines
yes.
and routers and
people hard at work putting things together.
And here's Diane over here coming out. She's one of our best exhibit builders. And so...
It's an exhibit in itself, isn't it?
It is, and it's unique. And then over here is something we do only for the summer. This is a small workshop just for teachers. And so I have high school and middle school science teachers, and we teach them machine shop skills using drill presses and bandsaws.
So these good people here are teachers?
They're all teachers.
Oh, wow.
And we heard the examples of the things they can build.
Yeah.
And if they build it, they can take it home as their own.
That's
so
nice.
we bribe them to learn the skills of building by giving them hands-on experiments they can do in their classroom.
That's
the one on the
fantastic.
left over here is a painter's tray, a long tray.
Yeah.
And in it, you would put soapy water, and then there's a rod that you pull up with a pulley that will pull the soapy water up into a film, and so you'll have a planar bubble. Instead of a spherical bubble like you blow normally as a kid, it'll be a flat plane of bubble, and it makes incredible colors with the light reflecting off of it. It's just a great lesson.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so...
And the teachers are now part of the exhibit themselves.
They are.
Because people like you and me walking past can just stand here and look at them.
And ask questions. And they're teachers. You ask them a question, they will talk to you forever.
We might try that, in fact.
We could try that.
Hello. Hi. Hello, I'm from Sydney, Australia, doing a podcast.
Oh, awesome.
A scientific podcast. I thought your name is Colleen?
Yes, Colleen.
I guessed that from your badge.
Yeah.
And you're a science teacher, in fact.
I am, yes. I teach high school science, biology.
Where at?
Archbishop Reardon. It's a boys' high school here in San Francisco.
Okay, you get the thumbs up from Paul over here.
I drive by it all the time over there on Sunset.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And so what's it like being part of the exhibit but learning stuff at the same time?
It's outstanding. I mean, this is the sort of stuff that when I was a kid, I used to come to science museums. I used to go to the old location, grew up in the area, and I used to look up to people, the adults doing, actual science things. And so to be like, I'm at the science museum doing science things, and kids are looking like it's just, the full circle sort of thing, and being able to come here with all these really creative, outgoing, energetic people that have just amazing ideas. I just like talking to people. I'm like, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And just a whole culture of learning in this building just for these 3 weeks. I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can while I'm here.
Well, I wish I was one of your students.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. We have our staff machine shop where we build the exhibits for the public. And the exhibits for the public have to be built to withstand the most destructive force known to man, the 7th grade boy.
Little children, I was just about to say,
That's right. And but the ones that the teachers are building are very flimsy, and because they have to know how to build them and repair them. And so if their class destroys them, then the class has to rebuild them.
Okay.
And that's a great lesson.
And as we were discussing earlier, the place is absolutely filled with children, but it's just filled. It's full. You've got a great attendance here.
Oh, we do. Yeah. They'll be today. We'll have 4,000 people here today.
Wow.
Yeah. And all through the summer. Pretty soon in the summer, it'll be so crowded it will be hard to walk. And right now...
That's great.
Yeah. And that's 4,000 during the day. Right now, there are probably 1,000 people in the museum. That's 2 people for every exhibit in the place. Now, actually, here's a very important thing about the museum behind you over here.
Oh, yeah.
Our floor staff is composed of high school students. We're the largest employer of high school students in the city. We bring them in, we teach them. They're teaching about the ear and sound right now with demos.
Let's walk
and
over.
We teach them how to do it, and then they do it for the public and answer questions, and they get paid for it.
That's pretty cool. And so there are a couple of high school students there at the moment?
There are a couple of high school students there at the moment, and they're reassembling an ear. We have this giant ear about a third of a meter high.
Yeah. It's a whole, folks, if you can imagine the classic pictures you see of the outer ear going into the ear canal, eardrum, it's a big model of that. And one of the young students here is teaching a small group in front of her all about the inner ear. Let's listen in.
I've gotten really dizzy, spin around a lot. So basically, when you do that, it's just you're offsetting your balance. This is what makes you kind of centered. And in a way, whenever you move this...
So she's discussing the balance.
The inner ear.
The inner ear.
She was just talking about that. And they have in front of them an array of spoons and tongs, metal, and strings. And they put the string near their ear and then bang the spoon, and they hear it sounds like Big Ben. It's just amazing that spoon can make that sound. And
a series of tuning forks there too.
Right, exactly.
Wow, that's
so just make it real
fantastic.
Is our key. And in fact, for your listeners, I'm going to take them to a very rare thing. We very often see visual illusions. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give them an audio illusion.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So yeah, this is a very it's called shepherd tones. And Johann Sebastian Bach almost discovered it.
Almost.
But he didn't, but Shepard did. And so let's go. I have a very simple question for you. You probably can tell a high-pitched sound from a low-pitched sound.
I hope so.
Yes. Well,
I hope so.
Let's see how you do here.
All right.
So we have this display over here. And you'll notice it's 1 octave of a piano keyboard, but it's been wrapped in a circle. It's like we took a piano and wrapped it in a circle.
It's a keyboard, a circular keyboard, yeah.
So I'm gonna play around a series of notes, and you just find the highest one. The name of the exhibit is Find the Highest Note. How hard could it be? Just stop me when we get to the high one.
Wait a minute. You've gone around once, you're hitting the same notes again.
Yeah, and they make the same sound every time.
Right. So if I say stop at any one, it's theoretically the highest note, or how does it work?
No, no matter which one I stop at. Say you stop me at this one. I'll play the next one. It's always higher. If you go around anti-clockwise, and the other way always goes down.
Oh, that's very good.
So this is not playing one note. It's actually playing about 7 different notes. When you press a C on the piano, it'll play 7 octaves of C. And then when you play a D, it plays 7 octaves of D. And so on. And so each sub note has gone up a little bit. And your ear said, okay, every subcomponent has gone up. But at some point, you're playing a note that's exactly in the middle. And what we're doing is the low-frequency ones, we're fading in, and we're increasing them in frequency as we go around, making them louder. And so it's a well-known illusion.
That is fantastic.
Now, the great thing on this is I'm going to play two notes, black and white.
All right.
Black, white. Black, white. The white is higher pitch.
Okay. Yeah.
Now I'm going to play black and white across.
Yeah. Wow.
Now this one,
opposite. Yeah.
this one is lower in pitch to me. But it might be higher in pitch to you.
You know what? Now I'm struggling to.
The great thing about this exhibit, I can show you what I'm hearing. This exhibit lets me turn you into me. So listen to this. I'm going to play the black one, and I'm going to go around to the white one. And now you heard the white one. The second one is lower.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now if I go the other way. Now you hear it as higher.
That's fantastic.
So this is not only a wonderful acoustic illusion, it's one that no matter what you hear, I can show you what I hear by guiding you slowly around. So if you want to look it up, it's called a shepherd tone.
Shepherd tone, okay.
Shepherd tone. And it's a great acoustic illusion.
That's
And we use illusions here to show people why you can't directly trust your senses. You've got to do you have to understand your senses before you trust them.
Yeah.
And you have to do measurements if you're a scientist.
Yes. A message the Skeptic Zone fans know very well.
That's right.
Don't trust your senses.
Don't trust your senses. Let me then take you to one, which is my latest creation at the museum.
Yeah.
So, and this one's going to be visual, so you'll have to describe it to people. But over here we have quite a large, about a 4-meter wide and 3-meter high parabolic mirror. A beautiful thing.
Wow, it's fascinating.
And if you stand in front of it
All right, I'm standing in front of the mirror. And
you see yourself.
Now, folks, it's almost impossible to describe. I am looking at myself in 3 dimensions, a reflection upside down.
Right. Now
like I'm hanging from the ceiling.
Reach your hand up. There it is right there.
Okay.
You were touching your hand, weren't you?
I was.
In front of the mirror. Like 8 feet in front of the mirror, your hand reached out for you to touch.
It's bizarre. Yeah. I'm looking at myself. I'm reaching out, and I've got my hand in my own hand.
Yeah.
And I guess you just have to come here to really understand what we're talking about.
That you do. But now, this is a little weird because you're upside down. But I discovered, I'm a big fan of Lewis Carroll.
Oh, yeah.
And so Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Yes, yes.
So I thought about that, and I made a new part of this exhibit. I'm going to let you walk through a looking glass. I'm going to have you walk through a mirror. You're going to become Alice.
That sounds
so let me do that.
Good to me. This giant mirror here.
I need to pull out the looking glass itself.
Oh, here! Oh, you're bringing this around. It's like a mirror on a stand, and Paul's pulling it out in front of everybody here.
You'll like it.
It looks like I might be a guinea pig. And he's angling it so the mirror is now facing the giant mirror.
Yeah.
And I'm coming around the back now.
So there's a mirror right there.
Oh!
And
now it's very confusing.
Yeah, now you can walk through that mirror. Now, as you walk through, as you go through the mirror, your head's going to explode and then reassemble upside down.
Do I want to do this?
Yes, you want to do this. So just walk right through the mirror, and then you can be next.
So what I'm doing is I'm walking towards a reflection of a mirror which is upside down, but I'm the right side up in the upside down mirror.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. And it's indescribable. That is incredible.
Yeah,
wow, it's all done with mirrors. And people are trying this, a little boy trying it now. He's walking straight into the mirror and disappearing. The expression on their face. Here comes the next lady going through. It's like nothing I've done, and now everyone's lined up to try it for themselves. That's It's bizarre.
And what you see as you actually walk through it is different than what people see when they're watching you.
Absolutely.
As you walk through the mirror, your head explodes and fills the entire space of the giant mirror, and then comes back together upside down.
And it is bizarre because as you approach a mirror, and your brain is telling you you're walking into a solid mirror, it just evaporates.
Yeah, and then you walk right through it.
Yeah.
So this one I really like because it really blows people's minds in many ways. Yeah, and here we have some people really enjoying it.
Everyone's enjoying it now. They're lined up to do it.
One thing you can do is mirrors work in sound as well as vision. So as you walk up to the flat mirror, if you stop just a little bit in front of the flat mirror and speak, it'll make your voice louder. The microphone might pick up your voice reflecting off the mirror.
All right, let's give that a go. The trouble is, of course, now you brought out this other mirror, we've got a line of people.
That's right.
willing to give it, which is exactly what you want. It's really great to see.
It's great, yeah.
So we'll wait for a moment and see what we can do.
At the mirror.
Okay, now I'm walking back towards the mirror again, which I walked through before, and hello, yes, I can hear my voice. That's strange. It's echoing back. I hope you can hear that on the microphone. And of course my head's exploding at the same time, so wow, that's something else.
And I had a bunch of high school physics teachers here today, and they know about mirrors and they know about curved mirrors, but this one blew their minds and made them really passionately want to know, how did that work? And I had to actually go, and we had to work through it slowly so they understood it.
Now look at this. Yeah. We're back now from the mirror, maybe about 3 meters.
Right.
And we're looking at the reflections of other people sort of to our left, but not only are they upside down in 3 dimensions, but they're 1.5 times size.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It gets curiouser and curiouser, said Alice. That's all I can say.
Welcome to the Alice's world here. Yeah, it's much curiouser. And that's the key of the Exploratorium, is curiosity and inspiring people to ask questions and find the answers themselves. You notice there's no explanation here.
Right.
This is just, okay, have fun, enjoy.
Well, we've snuck into the behind-the-scenes area here at the Exploratorium. This is a teacher's room or something like that?
Yeah, it's adjacent to a classroom, and it's full of teaching supplies.
Ah, yes, it looks like it. Yeah, but it's just a nice, quiet place so we can have a brief talk. Now, just for our listeners' sake, can you give the Reader's Digest version of the history of the Exploratorium?
So Frank Oppenheimer was on the Manhattan Project, and then after the Manhattan Project, he went and became a high school teacher in Colorado. And pretty soon, the scientists in Colorado noted that the students from this remote district, very rural farming district in Colorado state, were winning all the science fair competitions. Uh-huh. So they looked into it, and they found that this teacher, Frank Oppenheimer, was teaching the students better than anybody else. So the local university, the University of Colorado at Boulder, hired him away to come and help them teach their students. And Frank made the junior physics laboratory, 17 exhibits. The students would go to one exhibit a week and then move to the next one and the next one that taught basic physics ideas. But then Frank noted that people the students would return on the weekend and bring their friends to play with the physics experiments.
Oh, right.
And he realized he was on to something.
Yeah.
So he went and he toured the great museums of Europe, the Deutsches Museum, the Palais des Couverts, and he took their best ideas and then looked around the United States for a big building that he could rent. And the city of San Francisco had this big empty building that was built for the World's Fair of 1916, the Pan-Pacific Exhibition. It had stood empty most of the time since then. So in 1969, he rented that building, 10,000 square meters for $1 a year with electricity for free.
Wow.
That's pretty good. And then he started building the Exploratorium, and he brought in local artists and builders, and then they created these things we call exhibits, simple physics experiments that you could interact with. But he also brought in local artists who had one big idea they always wanted to make, and he would turn them loose with programmers and machinists to make their idea real. And some of the best exhibits in this place to this day came from local artists who were passionate about one thing and built it at the Exploratorium. Well, that was 1969, and we grew since then until about 2014, when this building we were in needed tremendous amounts of repairs. It was 100 years old, just about, and it was in need of repairs. So the city offered us a different building also in need of repairs, but the new building was Pier 15 in San Francisco, which is...
which one is this?
This is Pier 15. That's the one we're on right now. This is Pier 15.
Yeah.
And it needed a lot of repairs. We fixed it up, and now in return for us repairing it, we have free rent for the next 60 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we'll be here now with free rent. But we saved the building. The city owns the building. We saved it for them.
Right. What a good situation.
It's a great situation.
Not only did you do well by the city.
Yes.
In that respect, the city is gaining by the fact that it's here.
That's right. And we have
a major attraction.
And we do a really good job of working with local teachers and students.
As we saw, yeah.
The students, we employ them. They come here and learn that science learning can be fun. And that's the best lesson we could possibly teach.
Yes.
And we're doing really well right now. The state of California funds us to train teachers in how to make science class more interesting. And we do it. We spend many, many hours.
Well, just on our way here to this back room, we passed a whole big classroom full of science teachers, I assume.
That's right. Those are all middle and high school science teachers. Yeah. In the morning, they choose which class they're going to go to. We have high school biology, high school physics, and middle school science. Those are the three classes we're teaching right now. But in the afternoon, we have specialty classes. And I believe Zeke, as we walked by, was teaching a lesson on ultraviolet light.
Huh.
And the teachers can then pick from 3 classes every afternoon with a specific topic.
Yeah.
So yesterday I did how to measure electrical circuits. I taught teachers how to measure voltage and current and not kill themselves. Very important lesson. And they choose to come. Now the teachers come, and they come every day, all day long, for 3 weeks. And then at the end of the summer, we pay them $2,500 to come. And that money is provided by private donors, essentially charities, philanthropies, the Hewlett Foundation, the Packard Foundation, the Noyce Foundation, and by the state of California. So both the politicians realize the value of science education and support it with money.
That's good.
They pay my salary, and we give some of that money to the teachers, because the teachers don't get paid so much that they can take off in the summer. They would normally have to work in the summer.
Uh-huh.
So this allows them to take 3 weeks of their summer and get better at being a science teacher. So we think that's also a win-win. That they can take off, tremendous. They don't have to work at other things. They just work at being a wonderful science teacher.
Well, here's the word, folks. If you're going to come to San Francisco, don't worry about the flowers in your hair. Worry about coming down here to Pier 15 to visit the Exploratorium. It's a wonderland of science and interaction.
That's right.
And all the things we were doing earlier, playing with the tones and the mirrors and everything.
Right. Yeah.
It's absolutely enthralling. But before I go, Paul...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. The Australian version.
It's different from the American version.
That's right.
I did not know that.
I like the Australian cover much better.
Oh, that's interesting. What I'll get you to do, if you could sign that to the Skeptic Zone, and pretty soon we shall have a competition for our listeners to win a copy of this book, which we chatted about a few episodes ago. So it's being autographed as we speak.
It says... And then you're dead. Skeptic Zone. Enjoy exploring science. Paul Doherty.
Nice. Well, that's just wonderful. Paul, thank you again for the tour.
You're welcome.
The obvious enthusiasm you have.
I love my job.
I can tell.
Yeah.
And if people want to come and visit the Exploratorium, it's easy to find.
It's easy to find.
Oh, yeah. You come to San Francisco. It's
downtown
big.
San Francisco. Yeah. We're open in the summer. We're open every day, 9 to 5. And 10 to 5. Sorry, 10 to 5, yeah.
And what's the website people can...
www.exploratorium.edu. If you get anywhere close, it'll take you to us.
Thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
now, direct from the cafe at Australia's Science Channel, it's Brew Ha Ha with Ben Lewis.
When you buy a plane ticket, there's that prompt to offset your carbon emissions by planting trees. You click the box, add your $2, and you're done. Conscience cleared, right? Unfortunately, it turns out that's just not good enough. According to new calculations, if we keep steadily burning fossil fuels but later on get buyer's remorse, it would take so many trees to keep climate change below 2 degrees Celsius that would wipe out most natural ecosystems and wouldn't leave enough room for food crops. It's about time that someone did the maths and worked out how much space all those plants would need just to offset our emissions. Even if we reduce our carbon emissions in line with the Paris Agreement, the calculations show that planting enough trees to offset this carbon would take over a quarter of our food crops. The conclusion is a pretty obvious one. We need to use every tool in our arsenal to reduce the effects of climate change and not rely on just one.
For more Brew Ha Ha and Australian science, head for www.australiascience.tv.
It never ends. A friend starts talking about his new Reiki master, and someone else just posted about another all-natural cancer cure that they don't want you to know about. As skeptics, we dedicate a lot of time trying to protect those around us, but there's a way that you can reach millions. Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia is a group that is working to keep the best skeptical information at everyone's fingertips in all languages. Join us. Training is self-paced and fun, and we have our very own super secret Facebook group. You will be educating the world in your sleep. To find out more, email us at gsowteam@gmail.com. Guerrilla Skepticism. The time is now.
Music by bensound.com.
I'm in the backyard of the house of Dr. Eugenie Scott here in Berkeley, California, where I'm delighted to see that there are two active bee hives. And today, Jeannie and I are going to liberate some of the delicious honey from the bee hives. And I thought it might make an interesting and different report for the Skeptic Zone, and we can chat about some science along the way. It's a bright sunny day. It's the summer solstice, and what a great day it is for collecting honey. Eugenie Scott, what is that you've got there?
That is a box of empty frames, just in case when we get into the hive we discover that there's just tons and tons and tons of honey and that the bees need more room to expand. We can just pop it on. And I've got two different kinds of frames in here. One is an open frame, and the other is a frame that has, I guess you could call it prefab comb.
Yes.
This is it's called foundation, and you can see that it consists of these little kind of hexagonal prints,
the
almost
classic
in
shape of a bee honeycomb. Yes.
And it's not a full drawn out comb.
No.
But the bees will use this little wax template to form new comb, and it'll be very regular. The open frame doesn't have any comb, any foundation in it, and what I'm doing is I'm alternating.
Yeah.
When you have an open frame, you give them the freedom to build a larger or a smaller cell if they want to. And drone cells, for example, are larger than the cells that are used for regular workers. So I'm just giving them some options.
Okay. So that's in front of us now, and we're going to be... What do you call it? Do you call it harvesting the honey?
Yeah, it's a type of harvesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this hive over here, to the right, with the blue lid. Now, yesterday we put a special layer in there, so the bees would leave a certain section, and it's sort of like a one-way path
Correct.
for them.
What we're going to do is we're going to look at the top box, which is full of I suspect it's full of honey. Once we get in there, we'll get a better idea. But I'm pretty suspicious that it's got lots and lots of honey. And this is my chance to take a little bit. And the bees will still have time between now and the fall, winter, when things slow down and they're going to need to, there's not going to be as much nectar and pollen around. They'll still have time to build up their stock. So this is my chance to grab a little for me.
Okay.
And yesterday, we put a little device in between that top box and the lower boxes because we wanted to get all of the bees off of the frames in that top box. It makes it a whole lot easier for us to harvest the honey if the frames aren't full of bees, because that doesn't work as well.
So they're all in the bottom section now, busily making honey and doing what they do.
And they're
flying in and out.
Hopefully, since it's the middle of the afternoon on a warm and sunny day, the majority of them will be out foraging so that when we start fooling around with the hive, we're not going to be disturbing too many of them. I think something that is a real surprise to people is how short the lifespan of a bee is. A bee spends about 21 days, round numbers, developing from an egg to a hatchie. They hatch in about 21 days. Spends roughly 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
Then they progress, and the rest of their month or month and a half is spent
out foraging for pollen and nectar, and trying not to get picked off by birds, and trying not to have other things happen to themselves. But what happens is they basically just work themselves to death if they don't get predated upon by some bird or some other predator.
But that's their existence. That's what they do.
Yeah. You'll see older bees coming back, and their wings will be kind of tattered.
Oh, really?
It's kind of you try not to anthropomorphize because there's probably a hive like the one we're going to go into now that'll have probably 40 to 50,000 bees in it. Most of whom are not going to be home right now. We hope that they're out flying around. But
there's a lot of
you can
air
see
traffic
them.
control would have a good time. Look at them all coming in and going out and coming in and going out. It's constant, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. We're both dressed in our long trousers and long shirts with the sleeves done up, and you're just about to put on your classic beekeeper hat.
Classic beekeeper.
Yes.
Do you have a choice? Would you like the yellow one or the white one?
It doesn't matter. You can have that. You can have the white one.
Right.
You can.
Doesn't matter a whole lot. The nice thing about
goes over the head, and
the nice thing about beekeeping with someone to help, like you, is that we can kind of keep an eye on each other's equipment. And if I see a bee that's sort of nosing around the bottom of your hood, then I can, gently push it away and discourage it in some way. And you keep an eye out for me as well.
Well, the hat, of course, I'll get mine. It's the hat, and it's the classic netting that comes down over the neck area.
It does indeed.
And if you hold that, and I will now slip mine out, and that's the front, isn't it? So slip that on over my head like that.
Watch out for the clothesline.
Look out for the
clothesline. We're kind of old-fashioned around here. We hang up clothes. Wouldn't you on a day like this? It's gorgeous.
My collar is up, so I can tuck the net, or put the net on the back of my shirt. And these ropes come down, this string comes down, goes around my chest.
Put it around your waist, like just to kind of hold your shirt is fitted, so it's probably not going to be too bulky.
I'll
but
do that up around
just to kind of discourage any of these little guys from.
So I'm covered head to foot. Except for our hands. Our hands are not covered.
Hands are about to be covered.
About to be covered.
About to put on our gloves.
And we've got these special, thank you, long gloves.
The gloves go up to your elbow or even longer, depending on your
slip on
radius and ulna length.
Slip on this glove now, and here we go.
Courtesy of my neighbor, who is kind enough to have a pair of large men's gloves.
And the next one. So I really am now covered head to foot.
And I'm putting my...
You can hear those. That's me just flexing the glove there. That's
a little sticky. These gloves are...
So I feel quite safe now.
What we're going to do is we're going to take the box of... the topmost box, the box of honey.
Yep.
And we're going to take away that little separator that we put in last night. And then we're going to cover up the hive So are you ready to do your strongman act?
Okay, so the lid comes off.
Okay. Just set it down gently, of course.
That is really
very
heavy.
Gently.
It's full of bees and honey. So
I
Jeannie's
should
now
take a look.
prizing out one of the trays here.
Okay, that one is doesn't have, it's not very. There's not a lot of capped honey in it.
Okay.
So let me take a look here. This one is a little better.
Now out comes this tray very slowly. Jeannie's lifting it up now. We can inspect the honeycomb.
This is a lot of honey.
That's a lot of honey.
That's a lot of honey. Yeah. Now the one right next to it, though, doesn't have very much. I'm going to set this. Just vertically here.
Now we've prized it open. Then there are not as many bees as I feared, but there's still quite a lot.
Still more than I would have predicted. Yeah. Hand me that bowl.
Yep.
And hold my hive tool. And this is an absolutely gorgeous piece of.
Here we go.
Look at this frame here, Richard.
Let's have a look at this next one.
This is a gorgeous, gorgeous frame. Look at that. Now that is honey. Isn't that
wonderful.
Magnificent?
Look at the shape. And
this one is a real keeper.
And again, not an overly crowded bee
Well,
situation,
it's more than I'd like. Now, see, this one is much less much less full. But then again, they tend to fill up the ones in the middle. This has got open. See, there's liquid in each of those.
Yeah.
And they haven't put the caps on yet. Look at the top of the frame. You can see the kind of waxy-like things, the capped frame. Yeah. That's what you're seeing in the ones that are down below. So
we're just inspecting frame by frame at the moment.
Yeah,
we're
going to take a look.
One.
I'm going to just move these guys over here. Come on, girls. And this one is also very full of honey.
Yep.
Looks very nice. So I'm not feeling too bad about leaving these girls without enough to eat. So they
don't seem too upset at the moment.
They have two very full. No, I'm being very gentle here.
Yeah.
They have two very full capped honey, and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I don't feel bad about taking the two full frames that I've
leaving
got.
them with enough.
So
this piece of honeycomb
we'll just take that upstairs with us.
The tin looks fantastic.
Yeah, you can eat it. Yeah. Why don't you just set it with the other one? And what we're going to do is we'll take this off.
Knife down and this one off.
This one off.
Yep.
And
which is absolutely
just chock full of bees. And what we're going to do
hundreds of bees.
is they're all trying to get up to the upper frame.
Yeah.
And so we'll just set that there for the moment.
Now we're looking at the lower section of the hive, and it is
at this point,
bee central.
I really want to put what's called a queen excluder, which we took off.
The queen excluder is going on now, which is like a wire frame sort of thing, but it's big enough for the workers to wiggle through.
Yes, they can crawl through, but the queen does not go through the queen excluder. And the reason you do that is that is why that box that we just looked at is so chock full of honey, rather than being chock full of honey and brood, which is not as good.
Now, we're not really being too worried. The bees aren't that upset what we're doing.
No, they're not, and I didn't smoke them, remember? No. So the reason why you smoke, by the way, is because when bees do get alarmed, they start sending out alarm pheromones. And the smoke basically kind of confuses them for a while. They might feel like putting out an alarm pheromone, but then they smell the smoke, and that kind of... So they don't really notice that their sisters are putting out these warnings. Okay. Although not as badly as one.
Shake that? Whoa!
All right. So I'll let these guys go back. But I do want to close up. So this is hard for me to do because I'm not really tall enough for give me my hive tool. I want to scrape off some of this propolis. No, just leave those guys alone. We'll just let them. Now notice that there's a bee that's buzzing around my veil. And you probably have some that are kind
There's one on your hand, I noticed.
Oh, that's
your arm. Yeah.
But particularly, they're kind of coming up to challenge look me in the face, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh yes, I'm noticing them now. They're on the back, your back. They're on my. I can feel them on my legs. Okay.
Let's put this up.
Yep.
Okay.
So they're less than impressed.
Okay. Here, take a look at this guy here. This girl here. Do you notice that she's elevating her abdomen and she's flapping her wings like crazy? She is sending out an alarm pheromone. So this is a good time, since we haven't smoked, to just bid our little friends goodbye.
Right.
Close them up. Let them figure out the way home. There we go.
The lid going back on now.
This is the telescoping lid, as they're called. You do end up killing a few bees in this activity here, I'm sorry to say. Don't like to kill bees, but...
Yeah, no,
like I say, they
live
a very short life. So we'll put these guys over here.
Oh yeah, they'll figure it out.
And they will figure out where to go from there.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think this is probably going to be steady enough. Good. All right.
Yeah,
let's take these. You want to take that, the hive tool, and you take the two bowls. Actually, give me the big bowl, because once I shake off these bees. I'm going to want to have something to put
Okay, this is one of the trays we removed earlier, of honey and honeycomb. He's just whacking it now to shake the bees loose.
And we're going to take this into the house as soon as we can.
By this activity. So
if you can hold that there, and I'll help you once I shake off these bees. Oh, it's a beautiful comb. We'll take some pictures when we get inside. All right, let's go in.
Okay.
And the sooner the better, because we are being followed. We are being followed by some bees. And the quicker we do this, the fewer bees will get inside the house. Can you open the door? Yeah, we're good. I don't think I'm bringing any bees in.
Okay, just come inside now.
Okay. And we'll take these upstairs, and then we can get out of our bee clothes.
So this device we've retrieved now, like a large metal cylinder, and it's called a
honey extractor.
Honey extractor. We've got the two frames now from the hive, which we collected a little earlier. Now Jeannie's just using a device now to break open all the little cells.
It looks like the device that I'm using is a honeycomb decapper. And it sort of looks like the most uncomfortable comb in the world.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of little metal teeth that are close together. But it works like a real champ to break open the caps of the capped honey.
Now
so we did a pretty
all
good
those
job
caps
here.
And there's just honey streaming down at the moment. So I'll hold that one.
I'll hold that other
and
one.
The first one goes into the
one of the sides.
Yeah.
Goes. Well, I think there's more to spin from this side, but since I'm in the mood for turning them around, I'll do that. And we'll spin the other side around. Okay. You can hold on that side.
All right, now we've been spinning our trays.
We centrifuged the frames and got pretty much all the honey out. I mean, I think it's you take there's a little bit of honey left, but it's not worth obsessing about. I always really try to preserve as much comb as possible, because it takes, this is hard to believe, but it takes several pounds of honey to produce a comb. Like this. So, these are expensive in terms of bee time and effort and calories, as it were. So the more you can preserve comb for your bees, the better off your bees are. They don't have to invest as much energy in building comb. They can
in this
build little bees
situation,
instead.
This one sort of
this
had
one
a
pretty
structural failure.
This one kind of got trashed, and it isn't.
So we're looking into this cylinder again. Let me look down the bottom. Oh yeah, I can see all the honey and the cone. Some of the cone which has been spun off is down the bottom there. So we're going to let that drain off the walls for a little while, and then continue on to the next step. It's much later on in the day now, in fact after dinner time, and the honey has had a chance to soak out of the extractor
through the sieves.
So the sieve has collected all the leftover honeycomb.
You can take a munch. It's okay. It's pretty tasty stuff.
It is pretty tasty.
Although it'd be hard for you to talk. So
it would. I better not. So Jeannie is now just going to unscrew the... Oh, there it goes. Opening up the spigot at the bottom of this tub, and out pours the strained honey, and out pours the honey, and out pours the honey.
Yes, well, it's taking its time. This is the watching paint dry kind of part of the...
yeah, it's not coming out quickly.
It's not coming out very fast, is it? I wonder, I can't imagine... Well, it's... Yeah.
I'm looking inside the tub now, and it's flowing, it's coming out, it's moving, it's just... It's
viscous.
Yes. And you're filling up your first jar. Well, not your first jar ever, but for this batch.
From this batch, yes.
Yeah, why not? Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good.
We're just munching some of the honeycomb that is left in the sieve. And of course, it's still bursting with honey. It's the next morning now, and we're around the table, and I'm looking at a glorious batch of cookies fresh out of the oven.
Biscuits.
Biscuits.
Yeah, it's going to be, you can translate.
Biscuits, something. I think the listeners can
breakfast biscuits, so that they don't think we're sitting down in front of a pile of cookies or something like that.
No, that's right. And a jar of the very honey we just harvested yesterday, our time, as a matter of fact.
Indeed.
And we're about to give it the rigorous scientific test.
That's right.
Not double blind, I must say, but never mind.
No, this is eyes wide open. So, and now I'm going to put a spoon of honey on each side.
Honey's being drizzled on each side. It looks magnificent.
It's nice. It's nice. I think it's got a good texture to it. It's a little thin, but there you go. And just kind of move it.
So we'll get your unbiased scientific opinion of the taste of it.
And there you go.
For me. They're for me. Okay.
Yes. And now you should pick that up. So you should pick that up and taste.
You know, I'm the guinea pig today. Here we go. What a classic honey taste it is too. And that is like a scone. Absolutely delicious. I think this science test is passing with flying colours.
You know, science bats last. Think of it that way. Science always wins, and we have performed the proper... We haven't had a control.
No.
We didn't have a control.
No.
I guess the control would be you have to eat the next biscuit without honey. But yes, thank you so much for all your help yesterday.
Oh, that's all right.
I could not have done it nearly as efficiently and quickly without your help, and I sure appreciate it. We had fun, too.
We did. And it seems to me that with two people, that's a much better of a two-people job, that lifting up the hives and replacing things and all the rest of it. But in the meantime, I think I will enjoy the rest of my biscuit. Tune in next week for part 2 of this story with Eugenie Scott, where she discusses some of the science behind beekeeping and some of the very real problems faced by beekeepers, including bee mites. Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone, a different episode this week. I do like doing those field reports, and what a pleasure it was to spend time with Eugenie Scott and Paul Doherty at the Exploratorium, as I hope you gathered by listening to those reports. I had a wonderful time. I was certainly getting my head together with jet lag and just getting over the infection and the cough and all the rest of it. But nevertheless, what a wonderful couple of days I've had so far. And pretty soon I'll be getting down to San Francisco Airport to catch a red-eye over to, Dulles, then change up to New Jersey. Then I catch a series of transports, an airport express, and then I catch a metro line or something up to Connecticut. Wow, that's going to be an adventure too. And finally, I'm going to end up, of course, back in New York for the Northeast Conference of Science and Skepticism. Certainly looking forward to that, and I'll be running around trying to get you as many interviews and behind the scenes, maybe, as I can. Thank you to those people who continue to support the Skeptic Zone. In fact, the raving microphone I'm using at the moment, which is an attachment to my iPhone, was paid for through the generous support of Skeptic Zone listeners. And it's this microphone, it's a Zoom microphone, which for those who want to know, IQ5, which I used to interview Paul and Eugenie Scott this week. So I'm pretty impressed by the quality, and this is not a paid endorsement for Zoom microphones, but I do like to use them. A big shout out to Maynard, still there in Australia. A big hello to all my reporters around the world, especially in Australia. In fact, I know our reporter Heidi has been very busy. She went to the Star Stuff conference in Byron Bay, attended by Dr. Carl. In fact, I think she gave Dr. Carl a lift in her car. That's pretty cool. Anyway, she says some interviews are on the way, so I'm looking forward to hearing those and then bringing those to you very soon. But for this week, from the San Francisco Bay Area, this is Richard Saunders signing off. You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for contacts, an archive of all episodes since 2008, and our online store. Please support the Skeptic Zone by following us on Twitter at Skeptic Zone, liking us on Facebook, and leaving a review on iTunes. You can also show your support by subscribing via PayPal for as little as 99 cents a week. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed on the Skeptic Zone are not necessarily those of Australian Skeptics Inc. or any other skeptical organisation.